Have you ever wondered if one big talk could change your entire career? From landing clients and getting on global stages to building a magnetic personal brand. In this episode of the Thrive Careers podcast, I sit down with TEDx speaker and industry leader Terry to unpack how a single TED Talk can change your career forever and how you can do the same, even if you don't think you're ready. Whether you're a coach, an entrepreneur, or a creative professional, this conversation will leave you with actionable steps, insider tips, and enough motivation to finally go for it. Thank you for joining me on today's show. And I'd like to just briefly make welcome our guest on today's show. Terry, welcome to the Thrive Careers podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, and thanks for helping so many people that are looking to build their careers and really get ahead of the rest of the pack. I appreciate what you're doing here.
Absolutely. We are so glad to have you. So we have a popular question that we ask on our show, which is, if your career journey were to be a movie, what would it be and why?
That's a new one. If it was to be a movie, it would probably be something like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Because I've done adventures all around the globe. I've solo backpacked deep into the Arctic Circle, done survival in the Amazon jungle, and just done all sorts of crazy things around the world. So if there was anything, it would be all about the sense of adventure that we all share.
Amazing. I love the word adventure, and I see that coming through. Thank you for sharing that with us. So we just get into our topic for today. So why should anyone even care about giving a TED Talk? I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the wild thing about giving a TED Talk, and I didn't understand this at first until I gave one. I didn't really understand the impact that it can have. But it sets you so much apart from everybody else. It's just crazy. I can tell people about all these different things I've done, but when they find out I'm a TEDx speaker, like, oh, wow, I've got to check out your talk. It sets you apart from the rest of the crowd. It makes you an industry expert. You're not just somebody else with a voice or somebody else with an opinion or a thought or a processes or strategy or anything else. You're a TEDx speaker. Therefore, you're obviously a cut above. You're obviously an industry leader that people want to hear. It's amazing. My talk came out, it debuted at number 2 in the world, and it's been called one of the 30 most impactful TED Talks of this century.
Amazing.
I was blown away. I'll admit it. I was blown away, but that's the difference it can make. We can talk about what that leads to for everybody also, which is kind of crazy too. So that's why you should care about being a TEDx speaker.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much. So much to unpack there. And I love it. The fact that it sets you apart and just immediately gives you that leadership right, that bragging right, and that person that everyone wants to listen to. But I have a little question in addition to that. Sometimes people feel like, do they really fit the persona of the person who can give a TEDx talk? So my question is it really possible for a regular person to land a TEDx talk?
Absolutely, without question. If you've got a message that you believe in, that is different than what everybody else is saying out there, because if it's just leadership is great, something like that, they've heard it all, right? But if you've got an opinion, an idea that you feel can help people, it's about the idea. It's not about you. And I can tell you from being around a lot of TEDx speakers, training TEDx speakers, that they're all different. Some of them are energetic like me, and they're going to run around the stage. Others are going to mumble whilst just sitting on that red dot. And it doesn't matter. It's not about you. It's about your message. If you believe in your message, then you have a right to be up on that stage. You just need to know the strategy to get there.
That is really amazing and impactful. If you have a message, then you have to get on that stage. You just need to know the strategy. And I believe that's one of the things we're here to talk about. Thank you so much for that impactful intro. All right. So I want us to take it a bit further. And I know you already sort of talked about this before, but let's zero in on it a bit more. So how has giving a viral TEDx talk changed your life personally and professionally?
It's amazing. One thing, so I'm an author, and there will be, probably a lot of authors listening into the show here, watching this show. And, I was very blessed that my book hit number 1 best-selling book on Wall Street Journal. Number 1 on Amazon, number 1 in Barnes & Noble, best-selling book on USA Today. And all of that being said, once it did that, it kind of sat there. I expected that's going to get me speaking gigs. I'm going to really share that message. And yet it was crickets chirping, The phone was not ringing. But as soon as I gave a TED Talk, now all of a sudden the TED Talk was on the subject of my book. So all of a sudden more people are interested in my book again. And because I've given a TEDx talk, now suddenly other people want to hear from me as well. Everybody's vying for paid stages. Everybody wants to get paid to spread their message, sure. But the problem with that is they can't have everybody on those paid stages. Who are they going to pick? They're going to pick the person who's a TEDx speaker. You're way above the crowd. And you've got the video footage to prove it. So when you apply to be a speaker on these stages, to speak at these venues, they can look at your TED Talk and go, wow, okay, it's professional video, professional audio. You've got something to show them right away. And yeah, now my speaking fee, I'm almost embarrassed to say, but let's just say it's several $1,000s per half hour. It's crazy.
Amazing.
Isn't that crazy?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Terry. All I can hear you say is TEDx Talk is a game changer, an absolute game changer. It separates you from the pack, indeed, like you said from the beginning, and it helps you go from thinking in the dark to really being on global stages and really killing it. Amazing stuff, and I really love it. Thank you. All right, so now we are getting into the strategy, the core conversation, the secrets, the actionable tips that I know that our listeners are waiting to hear, the juicy part of our conversation for today. All right, so how do you know if your idea would even make a good TEDx talk? Do you want to?
Well, I'm going to give you some specifics, but also we're going to give your audience a free tool that they can go to and is going to do it for them. It's an amazing AI tool that I've put together. And this isn't just some little GPT. This is a very, very high level tool that takes all of the information from TED around the world, my success, a lot of people's success, and you put your idea in there and it answers that question for you and helps you hone your message. So the AI, we'll give it to everybody right now. And then at the end, ideascore.ai. Here's part of what it's going to do. First of all, understand this, and I alluded to it earlier. They don't want to hear what they've heard everywhere else, okay? They want something that's going to be different than what they've heard. For instance, my TEDx talk, and by the way, let me give the difference. I'd say TED or TEDx. TED is the main one in the main location. TEDx is the local ones like TEDx Spokane, TEDx Copenhagen, whatever. So you'll hear me interchangeable. It's basically TEDx. Okay. Mine was how 92% of people fail at reaching their goal, and there's a reason why. Most everything we've been taught about goal setting is wrong. Now that's like, wait, what? I'm going counter-cultural, counterintuitive on that. And that's what they want. They want new, refreshing, bold ideas. You can look at it from the TEDx event organizer standpoint. What a lot of people don't understand is these people are trying to put on a successful event. They want to get butts in chairs. They want people to come and watch their event, just like any event. They want people to view the videos that come from there. So they're really looking for counterintuitive ideas, interesting ideas, different ideas that will make an impact. So look at it from their standpoint. What can you give them that they can promote out to get people to come to their event? Look at it from that standpoint as well. Now, something else to know. We'll probably talk about this later on, but all the different TEDx events are not created equal. Some of them are barely seen. Some of them are millions of views almost automatically. They all have a theme. And if your theme doesn't match that venue, then they're not going to pick you. So you want to be discerning about that as well. Does that help answer that question?
Absolutely. Thank you. And it was really fun listening to you dish out all of those, wonderful secrets. I put it down here. New, refreshing, bold ideas. There's a lot going on in today's world. You need something that would spark attention. And that's exactly, the kind of idea you want to bring to the table. And you also, spoke about the powerful tool that you're going to be sharing with us that would help, people to curate all of these, wonderful ideas that is deserving, of that global stage. So thank you so much for that. So moving on today, my next question is, are all TEDx events created equal? And I think you touched on that, but let's build on it a bit more. And how can someone choose the right?
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they are not all created equal. Now, that being said, if you can get on any TEDx stage, get on it. because again, you are now a TEDx speaker. But a few other things to know that I didn't mention is not all of them are actually filmed. Not all of them have cameras going. Oh. And you want to make sure that the one you're going for does, because that footage is solid gold, baby. For any speaker, you're going to have a speaker reel, and that footage will be on there. Every email you send out, you can have a link to your TED Talk, or you can have excerpts from it, your website, any promotional materials. If you go, let's talk, you don't want to be a speaker, you don't want to be a coach, you don't want to be an author, you're a business person, you're an employee. If you want to stand out above all the rest of the employees, business people, etc., do a TED Talk. It doesn't even matter what it's on, actually. It doesn't have to do with what your job or position or company is necessarily. It's just a whole different thing. If I own a company, which of course I do, and I've got a stack of employees that want to get hired, if one of them is a TEDx speaker, they've got my full attention, much more than anybody else. But back to your specific question about are they all created equal? They're not. And it's important to know that going in. And again, with the program I've got, it's got a tool that takes your subject and finds the best venue for you. But we can talk about that later on if you like. But that's the things you want to know about the TEDx events out there. They're not created equal, but if all you can get is whatever you can get it. Does that make sense?
Absolute sense. And I really love it. I love the fact that you were able to bring even professionals into the mix and how that can also set them apart, which is very critical for our audience. So yes, sure. Thank you for that. And you said something, and I don't know if this is the right time to bring that up. Like when you're choosing your TEDx platform, ensure that it's the one where they give you that video footage. So how do you ensure that?
Yeah, what they do is I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you asked this question. Normally, after the event, first of all, they do their filming right there. Then they do what's called post-production. So they'll take, because usually it's a multi-camera shoot. So you've got a camera straight on, you've got a camera from the side, you've got one from up at top, you've got one that's on the audience. And if you've got a good event, they're going to do a great job of post-production to put that into just a killer video for you. And everybody can watch mine. Just search Terry Fossum TEDx and you'll find mine. So then what they do, they'll put that footage together, then they send it to TED International, the people who run this whole thing. By the way, for everybody that's listening, I love that you can't see this, but Ola's taking notes, man. I love seeing that.
Hi, my name's Naomi, and I'm the host of the Notes and Quotes podcast, a space for casual and honest conversations about everything facing young adults today. From mental health struggles to figuring out your future to navigating the climate and social justice crisis of our world. These things should not be faced alone. Come hear me share vulnerable self-reflections, realizations, and eye-opening conversations with incredible guests. This is a community by one 20-something for every 20-something. Can't wait to have you join.
That's smart. I hope everybody else listening is as well. So they send that in. Your TED Talk possibly won't go on stage, won't get published. It's possible. It will, though. I don't know of any that haven't. I just know it's possible that they couldn't. There's some things that we can talk about you don't want to talk about on stage. We can come back to that. But let me get back to your specific question here. So then it'll be usually a few months later, and they will put it out on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And then you can grab the footage from YouTube and then basically use it however you want. You just have to be careful to make sure everybody understands you are a TEDx speaker. You don't represent TED themselves.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that secret with us. That's not something you will regularly find. So thank you, for that input. All right, moving on. With thousands of people applying, how do you get the event organizers to even take a look at you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's multifold. One of them we've talked about, and the main one we've talked about, which is you've got to have that title, man. You've got to have that attention-grabbing title right there. And if you're crafting it right, and again, that's what my program helps you do, they will see right away if somebody is savvy, if they've really researched TED and know what they should be putting in there or not. And they are betting on you. Again, they're trying to put on a successful event is what they're doing. So they need to make sure they have people who know what they're doing that'll be part of that event. So you want to make sure that you're crafting everything well. Take your time on this. In fact, I'll give you another secret for the people who are going to be doing this. Have a Word document where you keep all of this in there because you're not going to apply to one event. You're not going to apply to two events. You're going to apply to dozens of events to try to get a coveted spot on one of them. So on my separate piece of paper, on my separate Word document, I had, first of all, my crafty title that this AI will give you. Also, you're going to have a 50-word, 100-word, 500-word description of your talk. Make sure and craft that extremely well because they're going to glance at it like that. And it's got to catch their attention. Now, again, my program does that for you. But if you're not going to do the program, make sure and take the time to craft it well. It's got to be something that they feel will resonate with their audience, that's going to be in the room. But then also keep in mind the TEDx stage isn't just in the room. It's around the world. I didn't have 1 million plus people sitting in the room, right? But over 1 million plus people, I don't know what the count is now, have watched my TED Talk. So understand, and they understand that this is for a global audience. You want to be professional. You want to be different. Now, you're also, depending on the venue, going to have the opportunity to put in a video. Little video, here's what my talk is like. It'll be 30-second or 1 minute, maybe 2 minute. You got to rock that one, Ola. You've got to rock that video.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they've got to see your personality. Make sure it's well lit. Make sure you're smiling. Nothing catches their attention like a smile. You got to smile, right? And be confident. If you have to redo that video 20 times, redo it 20 times, but make sure it's impactful, that it's going to catch them.
Oh my goodness. I love every bit of this. I love the fact that this is so practical. I am learning so much, and I know that listeners are learning so much as well. And good enough, you caught me jotting down. I don't want to miss out on anything because this is so impactful, I must tell you, Terry. Now, this is a very important question because I've had a lot of episodes where we've talked about confidence on stage, especially for the kind of audience that I speak to who are professionals, who go for interviews and all of that. And I know for sure that a lot of people still have issues with nerves. So what helps you manage nerves and own the stage when you got on that TEDx stage?
We could do an entire other podcast about this, Ola. I love teaching this. And in my training, there's sections on this, on how to be the most powerful you've ever been before you walk up on stage, before you make a sales call, before you talk to a board of directors, go for a raise, whatever. But let's talk about some specifics here in the time that we got. First of all, every single person listening in can speak with passion. Every single person. In fact, they already have. If you question if you can speak passionately or not, just ask your children. You have probably spoken passionately to your children before. If you don't have children, if you've ever been in a relationship, you've probably spoken passionately, right? Now, what's the difference between when you're telling your kids to pick up their room before dinner or going up on that stage? There shouldn't be any difference at all. When you're talking to your kids or your significant other or you're mad at somebody or whatever, you didn't care how you were being perceived. You didn't care what anybody else thought about you. You didn't care about if you're going to forget the words or your slides aren't going to work or any of that kind of garbage at all. You knew one thing. You had a message and they were going to act on it. Does that make sense?
Absolute sense.
Absolutely. It should be the same thing when you're going up on stage, making a sales call, whatever it is. You have a message you want them to act on. Don't worry about you or are you going to come across or they're going to judge me or I'm going to forget what I'm supposed to say. Forget all that. It's not about you. All too often, we make it about us, how we're going to look, how we're going to be perceived. You got to get that out of your head. Get over yourself. It's not about you. It's about your message. And that's just one of the things. There's several others, like Bruce Lee once said, obviously famous martial artist from the past, once said, do not practice till you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong. So that TED Talk that you'll go on there and watch if you haven't already, I gave that thing God knows how many times. My dogs could give that TED Talk because they listen to me say it so many times. I already had it perfect, Ola, but the night before the event, I got a hotel room right by the event, and I'm there walking around my hotel suite doing that speech time and time and time, drinking throat coat tea because my throat's giving out. Practice until you can't get it wrong. That way, I didn't care if I was going to get it right because I couldn't get it wrong. I could have been asleep up there and still have it come out. That's just a couple of things. I teach a whole lot more in the program, including this technique that makes you the most powerful you've ever been in your life every time you go to do anything. So powerful, but that'll be for a different time or for anybody that gets into the training.
Powerful, powerful, Terry. Thank you for that. The next question for today, and that's about post-talk. How do you use, and I know that a lot of people are waiting for this because that's really the goal at the end of the day. So how do you use TEDx Talk to get more speaking gigs, podcast invites, high-ticket clients, or sell your book or service?
Yeah, coaching clients, everything.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, everything you do, your signature block, your website, everything, you put on there TEDx speaker. TEDx speaker, TEDx speaker. I like putting a link. When I put TEDx speaker, I make that a link to my TEDx talk because I want them to see me in action, baby, right?
Absolutely.
Well, sure, because now when they've seen that, it's kind of a celebrity thing in a way. Because if they're it's you trying to get them to, buy your product or hire you or whatever, that's one thing. But when they have seen you on the big stage, because TEDx is the biggest stage in the world, they've seen the footage, they've seen you in action, suddenly you carry celebrity with you. It's really crazy. If I'm just talking to somebody in the store and I mentioned, I'm a TEDx speaker. Really? I'm going to have to watch your TED Talk. Suddenly they look at me differently. They act differently. It's crazy. TEDx speaker is on everything, and do a link to your talk. Take parts of your speech, short parts, on your social media, every email you're going to put out, everything, you're going to put that on there. Even if it's just clips from it, real quick clips that made people go, wow, that was cool. You're going to put that on there. And then, of course, for your speaker reel, for anybody that wants to be a professional speaker, you have to have footage. Now, one of the things that I train, and let's talk about speakers real quick, and this speaker reel is because people go, I haven't spoken any, I'm trying to do a career. Okay, speak to speak. In other words, get out there, do it for free. Go to a Rotary Club, go to a Lions Club, go to whatever club, anybody that'll have you speak, but hire cameras. You want to hire cameras so that you get that footage. The amazing thing with being a TEDx speaker is you don't got to do that, because you've got some of the most professional footage you'll ever get in your life, and leverage that. And again, afterwards, you want to promote your own talk. And part of my program, I've got an AI that writes your press releases for you, writes your social media, writes your emails for you. But whether you do that or not, promote your talk afterwards. Mine didn't reach over 1 million views because I let it just sit there. It reached over 1 million views because I promoted the crap out of it. And you want to do the same thing. And now, over 1 million people have watched me in action. I'm no longer an unknown. Over 1 million people, me, and I'm not that cool. But over 1 million people think I'm all right now. That's what a TED Talk can do for you.
Amazing. Talk about a visibility magnet.
Yes, it's amazing.
It's powerful, insane. Yeah. Thank you so much, Terry. I have enjoyed every bit of this conversation. But just before we let you go or get to our rapid fire question, I have this one last question for you. So if someone is thinking about doing it right now, but they're unsure, so what's one piece of advice you have for that person?
Do it. Obviously, go to ideascore.ai. It's going to really help you out. And I noticed the framework for that website is down right now. So if you get an error code, try it again, or just reach out to me. I'm easy to find online these days. I can't hide anywhere. But first of all, even just going to that, whether you get into my program or not, which is very reasonably priced, do that because that's going to help you land that TED Talk right there just by going to that free AI. But whether you even do that or not, do the talk. Go for it. And again, don't just go to one and go, well, I tried. No. Don't go to 5. No. Go to dozens. Apply. You'll have to do a lot of digging. Again, my tool within the program finds them for you, but then do the digging. Do whatever you got to do because it really can change the rest of your life. And if you change your life, you change generations of lives for your family. Not to mention everybody who's affected by the message you give them. Because you didn't sit there and go, well, maybe someday I'm going to think about it, right? Nah, do it.
Just do it. And I mean, no cap. Let's leave it right there because that's the action word indeed. And that's what everything that we've talked about on this episode today is all about. Because if you listen to all of this and you don't go out to do something about it, you're not going to make any change. So the emphasis really is on doing it. Thank you so much, Terry, for landing this plane on that powerful note. But we really want to get into your personality because I can tell it's fun. I want us to quickly, do this top 3 rapid fire questions. What's one unexpected lesson TEDx taught you?
I think it really is that people from all different walks of life are giving TEDx talks. I mean, all different, even right there, just in my little group in my town, all sorts of different people. So kind of goes back to your original question. Can anybody do it? Absolutely. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be a speaker. You don't have to be any of that stuff. You just have to have an idea that helps people in a big way that's different than what everybody's heard before.
Lovely. Thank you. So what's your go-to pre-stage ritual?
That goes into the technique that I teach. And so I'll just give you just the quick version of it. I go back to a point in my life where I felt the most powerful that I've ever felt in my life. So if you watch me as they're introducing me, Terry's the best person that ever existed, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff, right? I'm not even in the room. Now, physically, I am. But mentally, I am back to that point in my life where I felt the most powerful that I've ever felt. So when I get up on stage, when I walk up there, now Terry L. Fossum, right? I'm not the guy going up there going, I hope I don't forget what I'm going to say. I hope they don't hate me. No. I'm the dude that just did that thing. And if you get into that state, that position of power, as I call it, ain't nobody can mess with you.
I love it. So what's a book that changed the way you speak or show up professionally?
I think anything by Zig Ziglar. He's now passed away. I mean, there may be a whole lot of people that don't even remember who he is, but him and Tony Robbins made a profound impact on my life. And Zig Ziglar, because he was just so down home, easygoing, and, didn't try to be cool or anything, that let me know I could just be me. And that's one thing for everybody else out there. When you're going to get on stage, when you're going to do these things, when you're going to do anything in life, just be you. You are good enough. You are good enough. Just be you.
Powerful, so powerful. I can't say that enough. Terry, thank you so much for sharing your TEDx journey with us. And to everyone listening, I hope this episode has shown you that you don't need to be famous or flawless to land a TEDx talk. You just need to have a powerful idea and the courage to share it. And of course, the strategy, which we've discussed on this conversation today. So whether you're dreaming of stepping onto that red dot or you're just not realizing your story has value, remember this, your voice matters. And it might just be the spark that someone else needs. So if today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to share it with a friend, leave us a review and subscribe so you don't miss future conversations like this. Terry, how can people reach you? I'm definitely sure that a lot of people would want to meet with you after now and get to know your work and how you can support them on their TEDx journeys.
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to that ideascore.ai, not only will you get into that AI that's going to help you craft your message absolutely free, but it's also going to give you, I think it's about a half hour or so free training for things we didn't even talk about on this podcast here that will help you in crafting your speech and in preparing for it. It's the rest of the story that you didn't quite hear here. It's all part of it. So start at ideascore.ai and that will lead you to me as well. Or just follow me on any social media on the Comeback Chronicles podcast that I host, or reach out to me. I'm going to give you my email address. Here we go. tlfossum@icloud.com. tlfossum, Fossum, @icloud.com. Love to chat with you, and let's see if we can make a difference in your life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of this episode. So keep sharing your story and keep thriving. And that's it for today's episode of Thrive Careers Podcast. I am Olajumoke Fataki, reminding you that no matter where you are in your career, you have the power to rewrite your story. If you've enjoyed today's insights, do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who's ready to thrive. If you have questions or topics you'd like for me to cover, let's connect. I would love to hear from you. Remember, clarity creates confidence, and confidence leads to success. And until I come your way again next time, stay inspired and keep thriving.